And welcome in to Tennessee Tuesday. It's a Tuesday evening, August the 4th. I'm your host, John Blankenship, with you tonight. For the next hour, we'll be talking SCV-related items, and we've got a special guest. Also, my co-host, Jason Boshers, is with us tonight. We're going to be talking about Sam Davis tonight, and Jason's going to be on with us. Jason's having a little technical difficulty there and dropped off with video, but he'll be back with us here in just a moment as we're into season number 3. This is our second episode, and we're glad that you are with us this evening. We'll start out tonight, of course, with our disclaimer as we give you each and every time that the views and opinions that you hear on this show tonight are expressed or solely our own, not of the GEC, the SCV, or any divisions, brigades, or camps. Solely our own opinions tonight that you will hear during this broadcast. And we do thank you for being with us. And he's ready to rejoin us now as Jason Boshers, my co-host. And Jason's videos dropped off a couple times tonight. So hopefully we'll make it through that okay. And we've got a good show tonight planned for you. We'll be talking about the boy hero of the Confederacy, Sam Davis, this evening. So if you've ever heard Jason tell this story, you know what we're going to get to listen to tonight, and you will thoroughly enjoy the history of Sam Davis. It's going to be a good program tonight. Jason, welcome in. How you been, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's just been a very busy time lately. And have you ever felt like you were playing catch up? And that's what I'm doing, because we had that event today where we'll talk about it in a little bit. The Jeff Davis monument that come from Confederate Park in Memphis. As you know, we had to take it down. There were some issues with it, mostly being, there's risers or steps going up, and they were placed on the sidewalk, which was only 4 inches. So, and it was causing it to sink and to lean. And what we did was we had to take it all back down, because they come and looked at it and they said, well, it's a possibility of the granite popping. And that's what they called it. popping. And what it'll do is just pieces of it will shell off of it. And go, okay. So we took it down. And we had to take all of that area out. Well, we poured the base and started yesterday putting it back up. And today we have it up that base as it was finished. And there's you can see it now. We've got it's up. You have a picture of it up? Yeah.
Yeah, let's show.
Here's one right here that we can show of it.
Yeah, there's
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, there's that's the newest one with some of the group of you guys. Jason, tell me who everybody is. I think we know most everybody, but some watching may not know who that all is in that picture.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, we have a very good group of men from industrial contractors. Looking at the picture, you'll see on the far left, the man from the second from the left, that's Executive Director Adam Southern. And also on the front row, on the far right, in the tan shirt, right by the guy in the lime green, that's Lee Miller. And you see me standing right behind them. The rest of them are the men that were there that have worked the past 2 days to put the Jeff Davis statue back up. And Jeff Davis is up.
And that image, I believe you shared as well. That's is that after the work that's been done?
Yes, sir. That was after the work that was done today. In fact, you can see the storm clouds moving in the background. And it didn't rain on us, but y'all know how humid it gets when that happens. This was after all the work has been done. All we're going to do now is come back. We're going to do some cleaning and caulking, and that's it. It's ready. So
well,
Jeff
it sure looks good. I know you've been on site there with this project and kind of overseeing what's going on there. And you've got a committee that's kind of helped with this. And we'll talk more about the Forest Equestrian statue a little later on and that big announcement that came out of that donation. I know you've been there on site working with that, and we're excited to see it back up. A lot of social media shares from that today. Folks are excited to see the Jefferson Davis Monument back up. It's been a big undertaking, but it's completed and looks good. I'm anxious to see it in person.
Yes, it does look good. The foundation was a lot better. What we found out was after we got it down, you could see how unlevel it had become with the sidewalk sinking. And from the right rear to the left front, in 12 feet, 8 inches, it was dropping 3 inches. That was causing a lot of the issues. And I can upload some pictures here and show some people. And you can see how tight the gaps are now, because have to say the concrete gentlemen that we work with, the team that we work with on them, they were extremely conscientious of this stuff. After they poured the base, and they poured it to the specs of the engineer and the architect, and they poured it exactly to those specs. Now, the monument was originally put up in Confederate Park during the centennial in 1964. And some of the stones that we found out as we were putting them back were, in fact, we have one stone, the one that is in the very front that you see there on the very bottom level, is a 1/4 of an inch taller than the rest of them.
Oh, wow.
And that made it, difficult to get everything set right. And we had to shim a little bit here and there, not on the bottom, not on the base, but on the next row up, to make sure everything laid out. And then some of them were not smooth on the side that faces up to the concrete. And our concrete guy was very conscientious. He was there yesterday and he was there today. And to get the pieces to lock together very tightly, he was out grinding on the concrete so that things would butt up against everything just like it should. And
Jason, do you know the weight of that monument?
Well, the monument on top, Jeff Davis himself weighs 500 pounds. The piece that is right below him is 3,200 pounds. The main obelisk that you see underneath him is 14,000 pounds.
Oh, wow.
The piece that's underneath that, that piece, I believe they had it 6,200 pounds. Each one of the smaller steps or risers They go about 5,000 pounds a piece. That first run goes 6,800 pounds a piece. So the
Wow.
concrete base that we have underneath there is a turn down pad at 2 feet.
Mm.
And we're going well below the soil level on there. We took everything out and we went back down to hard soil. And it took that and that much concrete to get it all poured. So
Well, a big project that's been now completed, Jason. A lot of weight that is, and I'm sure in the photograph here, we missed the photograph of you putting Davis back on top of the monument by yourself. We missed that part. I didn't find that photograph
because that photograph is not out there. But it was wonderful to see Davis go back up.
Yeah,
It really was.
well, great work, and I know you're proud to see it, and your team there is, and all the guys that's worked on that, the contractor as well. We appreciate their work and efforts to get it done. It looks good there at headquarters.
Yes, sir. And they did a very good job. When you come to see it, if you can remember what it was like, because we dedicated it October 3rd of 2020. That was when Larry McClooney was commander-in-chief, and this was his first executive council meeting. Mm-hmm. And that was when we opened the museum and we dedicated the Davis Monument on the same day. And come down, if you've seen it since 2020 to now, if you paid attention to the seams and how close they were, they're touching now. There are not any gaps. And I want to thank the concrete guy, because he had yesterday, he had 3 of his crew there. They ended up staying after hours last night to get some more of the grinding done, because they were expecting, okay, it's probably going to take us to about noon today to get the grinding done. They didn't. They stayed last night and knocked it out. And we started putting the rest of the plaza back together, the rest of the statue back together about 9 o'clock this morning. And it took about 5 hours to get it all back. But they did yes, sir. He did a very good job and measuring, making sure it was right, and grinding it to making sure the pieces fit. Because we found out that the risers and the statue itself, some of that stuff was, it had a very rough bottom and it was uneven. And we had to grind the concrete to make it fit the statue. We didn't change the statue. We ground the concrete to fit that. And it fits very, very tightly. And you'll notice it when you come to see. And I'll have some more pictures and videos out there for everybody.
Well, exciting times. Well, let's say hello to a few folks that are joining us tonight. We've got a whole bunch of folks on tonight, Jason. Randy joining us from Union City. Hope Randy's doing well this evening. Kim Hoffaker from Kirby Smith Camp 1209 in Jacksonville, Florida. Good to see him on with us this evening. Also, Derek Glover joining us from Jamestown. I know he's been all over the place. I've seen some of his social media postings. He's been here, there, and everywhere in between. Let's see. It was great to see Kim. Of course, we both got to see him, Jason, there in Lexington, Kentucky. It was good to finally meet him face to face. I know you guys know each other already, but get to meet Kim face to face. That was nice. Also, Ryan Rogers joining us from Alabama. Hope Ryan is doing as good too this evening. Daniel on with us tonight. Again, we appreciate all of our regular viewers and watchers this evening with us. Of course, Al joining us in Tullahoma tonight. He's watching on YouTube this evening. So good to have him here. Remember, you can watch us in multiple different places. Of course, on Facebook, on the Tennessee Tuesday Facebook page, Tennessee Tuesday on YouTube, as well as SCV Chat on YouTube and Facebook. We are streaming at all of those locations. Again, hello to Chuck Roydhouse joining us from the General Hatton Camp tonight in Lebanon. Hope Chuck is doing well. Lucas Holt also joining us from Smithville this evening in Camp 1513. See a few more. Steve Reed in the one of the newest camps in the Tennessee division, the A. Wilson camp, meeting in Bethel Springs. So good to see Steve on this evening as well. Josh Dowdy joining us from Gallatin. Hope he's doing good as well. My friend Kyle Thompson, Kentucky Division Commander. I am feeling better. I had a stomach virus this weekend. So I'm just fully over that now. I was planning everything to be Saturday where I had to be, and that kind of changed my plan. So appreciate all Kyle did and the great job that happened at Fort Donaldson. Also, past Commander-in-Chief Tom Strain joining us from the Yellowhammer State. And speaking of Yellowhammers, Tom, I know you'll find this interesting. The original Humboldt football team back in the 1920s was called the Yellowhammers. And then it became the Rams and finally the Vikings. So a neat connection there to Alabama. Also, David Daniels joining us from Gainesboro this evening. Congratulations to David, who has been appointed the National Genealogist in Chief there in that position that he now holds. And congratulations to David and a great job he does in genealogy work, and appreciate that entire committee and all the work that they do. Also, of course, we saw Lucas Holt joining us here, Floyd Harvey joining us from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I hope he's doing good at the Keller camp. And Sean Hill tonight. Talked to Sean earlier today. He's in Lewisburg, of course. He's our second lieutenant commander of the Tennessee Division. James Patterson joining us on YouTube tonight from the John R. Massey Camp 152 in Fayetteville. James just recently elected at the National Reunion as the Army of Tennessee commander. And congratulations to James there once again. Let's see also a few more here that we'll get in, and then we'll talk about some other things going on. Jim Collinsworth, of course, is our Tennessee Division chaplain and our camp here in Humboldt. And Jason, he does say here, the Jefferson Davis looks wonderful. The monument looks good. Fantastic job. Chuck, of course, yes, that's a lot of PSI. That's a lot of weight. A lot of weight on that monument. And I know it's going to look good for years to come.
And we poured it, in case anybody wonders, you can adjust the PSI on the concrete, and we poured it. It was rated at minimum of 4,500, and we poured it at 6,800.
There you go.
Yes.
We'll be able to take more weight down the road if needed.
Yes.
Also, David Pope joining us from Camp 87 in Knoxville. Hope David as well will be talking about his program that you watch on Friday evenings a little bit later on. Johnny Jenkins joining us from Springfield, Missouri as well. Hope he is doing well tonight. Rich Garcia also on from Gainesboro. Hope Rich is doing well. He's our lieutenant commander in the Tennessee Division. A couple of other folks. Glenn joining us here. Hello to him. He's watching on YouTube tonight. Also, a couple of others here. James joining us from Camp 507. Hope he's doing good too. And Dennis tonight there from Bryce's Crossroads, Camp 1430 in Baldwin, Mississippi. So hope he's doing good this evening. Thank you to everyone for being with us. And again, we appreciate you sharing this video as it will help grow this channel and continue to promote what we do in our organization, the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And of course, we highlight Jason, Tennessee mostly, but we talk a little bit outside of Tennessee as you send us things. And Jason, you see on the screen, you've got it there for us. Tell folks where they can send things if they would like us to promote for them.
Yes, you have something you want to advertise, you want to promote, you want to let the world know that you've done. You can send it to us. You can email it at TennesseeTuesdayPodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. You can also watch past episodes at TennesseeTuesday.com. That's there. That'll take you straight to the YouTube channel so you can see all the past shows that we have. We're into season 3, and it's hard to believe that, Jason, we've already covered this many shows. And we did have another guest scheduled tonight that we need to reschedule that's going to be a book author. And Jason has been so willing to step up tonight. And here in just a little bit, he's going to be talking about Sam Davis. Now, if you've ever heard his presentation on Sam Davis, you know what you're in store for tonight. But I know there's many on here, Jason, that probably have never heard your presentation on Sam. So you're going to have some new folks to become a fan of Jason Boshers and his presentation. But Jason does a great job, and we look forward to hearing a little bit more. I want to say hello to the Florida man, Sean McFall, joining us tonight as he's checking in as well. Sean, thank you for being on with us tonight, and we look forward to talking more about your show coming up a little bit later on. Well, Jason, let's go through our sponsors first. It's already time for our first break. Then we're going to talk about Sam Davis after this and some other exciting news a little bit later in the program with the Forest Equestrian statue and a big donation the SCV has received. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and jump into the different sponsorship levels. If you would like to support Tennessee Tuesday and any of the programs you hear on SCV Chat, Jason's going to tell you how you can do so.
Yes. You can go to scvchat.com and you can look for Patreon if you want to sponsor the show, or you can go to Patreon and look for SCV Chat. And you can join at different levels. The first level is what they call the Feed the Moose level, and that is $2.50 a month. And then they have a $10 level. The $10 level is you get little inside information into the SCV Chat. When they start advertising and when they're working on shows and when they're pitching ideas on what do we do this. You've seen some of the things that they have done now with Chaplain's Corner, in which they had Michael Hurley, who is the new chaplain in chief. They had that show last night. Very good show. If you are in that sponsorship at $10, you can do it, and it's called the Real Chathead level. And you will find them find out what's going on a little behind the scenes. Then there is the merchandise level. The merchandise level is $30 a month, and every so often I can't say okay every 3 months, every 4 months, because it's kind of sporadic. But you will get something every so often that it's merchandise that they'll send you, and it's been some pretty cool things. If you were on Facebook, you saw that I got sent a coffee cup with SCV Chat on it, and I've gotten stickers and I've gotten various things like that. And according to Connor and Moose and Harrison, where everybody calls him Moose, that's merchandise they can't even get. It is something that just people at that merchandise level. And then we have the $80 a month level, and those are the show sponsors. And our show sponsors, if you want to, Commander, we could start with, how do you feel about starting with Dr. Chris Cummings?
I say we do so. We've got a brand new advertisement here for him. Of course, he's an SCV Life member as well. And of course, he specializes in treating knee pain in Oxford, Mississippi. There, you can learn more about him by visiting his website, cmc-md.org. There's his phone number on the screen. Well, Dr. Chris Cummings, go by and see him in Oxford, Mississippi. And thanks to Dr. Cummings for sponsoring, of course, Tennessee Tuesday and SCV Chat. We appreciate him. Jason, tell us a little bit more about 31st Regiment Engraving. We see that Moose uses one of those wristbands he has with his ancestor's name. You can get those to them. Tell us more about them.
Yes, 31stregengraving.com. That is Todd Terry, who is the California Division Commander. And you're looking at engravings. They engrave Southern themed items. You heard our Commander Blankenship talk about the bracelet. You can see the earrings, you can see toasters, you can see challenge coins. You can contact 31streg engraving.com and see what all they offer, and support Todd Terry and the boys out in California, because they're doing great things with this. They really are. What I like, if you will look in the upper left of that picture, you'll see a flask, and they can special engrave that for your ancestor's regiment. You know, let's say he's 48 Tennessee Infantry Company B. He would be able to put that on there. It is custom laser engraving, and it is very nice.
We appreciate 31st Reg Engraving. Also, a past Commander-in-Chief, Larry McClooney, and his book, Paradox of Freedom, A History of Black Slaveholders in America, booksbylarry.com. That's one of his most recent works, or is his most recent work. And, of course, we've heard him speak on it on Tennessee Tuesday, and all the research, Jason, that's gone into this book. And he had these at the National Reunion in Lexington, and I believe sold out almost every one of them. And I know recently he had on social media that he has a few new copies in. So if you're looking to get a copy of this for your own and read this, you'll enjoy it. And the research that Larry's done, booksbylarry.com. So we appreciate Larry McClooney, one of our sponsors here at Tennessee Tuesday. And now Beauregard's Taylor. Tell us about them, Jason.
Okay, Beauregard's Taylor. They're a family-owned business, family-run business, and they offer authentic war between the state reproduction items, plus T-shirts, and they do very good reproduction flags. We saw some people at reunion that had purchased purchased flags from Beauregard's Taylor, and they also had the lapel pins from them. Their uniforms they are extremely accurate. They have started to get a little bit out of making uniforms to that, but you can contact them and see if they happen to have something that you need that is in your size. And you can visit them at their website, beauregardstaylor.shop. And they do very good stuff. And I'll let you go, Commander.
Yes, they do. Museum and Market Hall of Charleston, South Carolina, since 1899. They have been there, got to tour this museum in person. That was one of the highlights of my time at the National Reunion in Charleston, was seeing this museum. If you're there, make sure you plan a visit Thursday through Sunday. They're open 11 till 4, and the flag is out. They're open. At times, they have extra special hours, too, and you can always follow them on social media. And if you're not doing that, you need to do so. Follow them on Facebook and keep updated with all the activities they have going on there. They also have a very nice gift shop, too. You can visit museumatmarkethall.com, museumatmarkethall.com, and you can learn about all the things in their gift shop and learn about planning your visit to see the museum at Market Hall in Charleston, South Carolina. And finally, tonight, our sponsor, the Sam Davis Home and Museum. We're going to be learning more about Sam's story tonight. Jason, tell us about a visit to the museum.
Yes, you can go to the Sam Davis Home and Museum outside. You can walk around on the grounds. It's an arboretum. You can visit the gravesite of Sam. You can visit the spot where he tied his horse up the night before. You can go to the parents' bedroom, which the window he knocked on that night. You can do a tour of the home. If you go in the front door, on the right was the parlor where Sam laid in state. You can go upstairs and you can see the girls' room. The girls' room was where Sam's mother was with the girls and heard the wagon come up, went to the window, looked out, saw the coffin, and collapsed. And then you can go into the museum and you can see artifacts from the Davis family over the years. And you can see the letter that Sam wrote home to his mother. It takes a couple of hours to be able to see all of it. So if it's going to be one of those things, you know what, I have a spare 15 minutes. Well, it's going to be hard to see much in that 15 minutes. But, if you had time, it's worth the trip. To me, it is. We have done a lot of work because I'm one of the men on the board, one of the people on the board, and we've done a tremendous amount of work. We just went through redoing some of the windows, and we redid them. We didn't buy new windows. We had them redone, and we're still going to be working on the house. As you can imagine, a 200-year-old home has quite a bit of work that it needs to be done. We've worked on the gutters. We've worked on the roof. We've worked on a lot of things. And Derek Glover is correct in what we call the Creek House. That's become Miss Polly's tea room. And you can go there and you'll be able to see the home, have a place to eat, and spend some quality time there at the Sam Davis home.
It's a nice place, and we're going to be talking more about the story of Sam Davis. You're going to share that with us coming up after this break. And also a big announcement that you've probably seen on social media with a big, large donation has been given to help the restoration of the Forest Plaza and get that completed. We'll talk about that after this break as well. So stay with us as Tennessee Tuesday continues on this Tuesday evening, August the 4th.
Was your great-grandfather a traitor or a patriot? Today's politically correct are trying hard to take away the heritage of the brave Confederate soldiers who fought and died for their land. But one thing is certain, they can't change history. Those Confederate soldiers were fighting for the same reason soldiers fight today. They were fighting against homeland invasion. We believe that the desecration of the bravery, patriotism, and honor of those men should not be allowed. They were outmanned and outsupplied, but they were never outfought. They were proud men who believed in fighting to protect their dignity, their homes, and their families. If you're the male descendant of a Confederate soldier, we'd welcome you to join with us in the preservation of that heritage. We're the sons of Confederate veterans, Check us out on the internet at scv.org or call us at 800-MY-SOUTH. That's 800-697-6884. Sons of Confederate Veterans, dedicated to preserving the reputation of men like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and your great-grandfather.
And welcome back into the show this evening. I'm your host, John Blankenship, joined by my co-host tonight, Jason Boshers, and we're glad to be back along with you. It's been a busy few days, of course, at our national headquarters in Columbia, Tennessee. Jason told you a little bit ago about the Jefferson Davis Monument being re-erected there after the construction work and repairs had been made. Something I know Jason's been a part of is, Jason, you've officially, I believe, headed up this committee with the Forest Equestrian Statue and Forest Last Ride, I believe is the official name for it here. The SCV has been raising dollars to re-erect and reconstruct the plaza that was at Forest Park in Memphis, which is now the site of the General and Mrs. Forrest that are buried on the Elm Springs and the property there in Columbia. And we have all the parts. The equestrian statue has been done and completed, and we've been seeking donations, and the SCV just received a very generous donation this week to get us really close to getting this complete and getting this going. Jason, I'm going to let you talk more about that, and when you're ready, we'll share the photograph, and you can share about the individual.
Yes. I was contacted about a week and a half ago about the possibility of this happening, having a long conversation. And there had been conversations about, well, how much is it going to cost to put it up? When all of this first started, they were saying it 150, 200. Mm-hmm. Then they were saying 250 to 300. Now, during this time, you're talking from the time that Forrest was disinterred. So when they were talking about moving them there, and remember, we buried them in September of 21. So it has now been 5 years. It's hard to believe that it has been 5 years.
Flown by.
And at that time, they were saying it was going to be 300 or more. Well, we and people have been very generous in what they have donated. We had managed to raise, if you came to National Reunion, over the years, that they had raised just shy of $200,000 for people contributing to this. So we knew that we were still a ways from being able to afford to do it. And then the project, the 21st Century Confederate Heroes came along. Mm-hmm. And the first point of the 21st Century Confederate Heroes was to take care of the banknote that we had on us at that time. Well, the banknote, we had very generous donors that stepped up and took care of the banknote. And then the focus is going to be getting the equestrian plaza up. So all the one people that have joined the 21st Century Confederate Heroes have contributed to that. Mm-hmm. Well, we were at National Reunion, and we had right before National Reunion, we received the architectural drawings. Now we have a set of drawings. There's 17 pages of drawings. They're the architectural drawings, the construction drawings, and the civil drawings, which is having to do with the sidewalks coming up, the walkways, everything having to do with that. So we have 17 pages of drawings. I know that there was some talk, because I was not in the business session. I was out helping the SCV, the Bluegrass Brigade, put this on. So I wasn't in, so I didn't hear everything that was said in the business session. I was asked about it afterward, and people saying, well, we have architects we have all the architects done. Okay. We received all the architectural drawings on April 27th. On April 29th, we started sending out bid packets, and we started out with 5, and we asked for those 5 to have us bids by May 31st. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we sent them out at the end of April. They were going to have a month to get them to us. 0 bids. Nobody submitted any bids. We did not get our first bid in until June 10th. Mm. And that bid it shocked us. Okay. Shortly after that, we had another bid come in that was a lot more reasonable, shall I say. and it was still more than they were telling us. And when we had the architects there and we had the engineers there, we had the surveyors there. Remember, we had the ground surveyed 3 different times. We brought in ground penetrating radar. We did everything we could to make sure that everything was as it should be. And they were saying, well, it's going to be a $500,000 project. They did that because of the amount of ground that we're going to need to move. We're moving what is essentially the size of a football field full of dirt.
Sure.
And we have to move it. We're going to have to be digging under, digging down, and putting in French drains. No, we are not going to be disturbing the gravesite. No, we're not going to be disturbing the vaults. So we have to put in French drains for those to make sure that the water, if you have been there, you know there's a slope. And we have to make sure all the water comes off that hill and goes away from the gravesite. Yes, you can see it there. Sorry about that.
That's the fastest one I could find of it.
Yes, sir. But you see the water from where you're looking. If you're looking at me, if you'll look to your right, that slope runs off. And if you'll go about 50 yards behind me, it drops off on another hill. All of that water has to be funneled off from there. Now, there we are standing at the equestrian statue. And if I will go ahead and tell you this, that is Forest on top of King Philip. Everything's been done to it. The work on it is completed. The saber was put on. Forrest carried an 1840s cavalry saber, which is called a wrist breaker. We have one that was from one of his troopers, one of the men that rode with him. We used that, had a 3D image made of it. We put the belt back on. Over the years before it left Memphis, the piece of the tail had been broken off. And you can go back and see all the videos where I've talked about this on Facebook. And we had a piece of the tail made. And we had some repair work because it had been up 120 years. And so we got all of that work done on it, all the repair work done, hoof fixed, his spur on his boot fixed. Everything's ready to go. And so
Jason, that picture we see there, that old photograph of when it was in Memphis at Forest Park, the plaza that you're reconstructing and rebuilding there, that is what you see as being rebuilt, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It is 50 feet deep, 75 feet wide. If you're standing in front of Forest on top of King Philip, looking at him, it is going to be 50 feet wide and 75 feet deep. To the top of Forest Head, he's going to be 22 feet in the air. So, but all the repair work has been completed on him. So, and that's all been paid for. That's all said and done. Now we have to, and what I mean by that, it's already been cleaned. It's already been waxed. It's been 3D imaged. So now all of a sudden we started getting the bids in, and started getting the bids in a month before reunion. Okay, because everybody had told us, well, when we started 21st Century, we've got enough money. We're going to have enough money. All of a sudden we didn't because, well, we just hadn't raised enough. And as you know, this isn't anything that we can go in debt to do.
Sure. And
we have to do it right. We need, this is on Forest Last Ride committee are 2 great grandsons of Nathan Bedford Forrest. And the agreement was to put it back exactly like it was in Memphis, as Nathan Bedford Forrest's son wanted. Okay, that was how it was in Memphis. It's going back to just like that. That's how Nathan Bedford Forrest's son wanted it. That's how the United Daughters of the Confederacy wanted it. That's how the Forest Memorial Association wanted it. So we're putting it back exactly like it was. And we were talking to people and get a phone call. And if you want to put up the picture of the gentleman, Dr. Sam Barnes, and you see David Wright. Looking at that picture, Adam Southern is on the left. That's our executive director. Dr. Sam Barnes, who's a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and he's with a camp over on the plateau. And then we have David Wright, the artist that we all know that has done so many drawings and paintings of Confederate landscapes, Southern landscapes. And they contacted and said, okay, what do we need to finish this up? And talking with David Wright, he said, I would like to do some drawings, do some paintings, give them to the Sons and the Sons to be able to sell them to raise funds for this. And Dr. Sam Barnes talked with some other people, and, you know, they could, okay, what's the number? And they graciously donated $200,000.
Wow.
To this project.
So generous.
Yes, so generous. And that's the reason why we are now able to proceed the way that we need to proceed, because what the two bids, we have two good bids, okay? And the amount of money that we have raised covers those two bids. We did not have that until we had that yesterday. We had people talking, but we didn't have it until we had it yesterday. And if it hadn't been for Dr. Barnes and the other donors, then, you know, but Dr. Barnes said, I want this out there. I want this talked about. I want people to know so that more people will become encouraged to contribute to this.
Absolutely.
Because this is a huge undertaking. This is, like I said, 17 pages of drawings, architectural, construction, and civil. You know, this is not a small project. And
Jason, what quickly here, what are some weight of some of these things here, such as the equestrian statue of General Forrest and the horse? What's the weight of that? Do you know?
It is bronze, and it's hollow on the inside. Just the equestrian statue itself is around 6,200 pounds. And then you're looking at the base that he is setting on, multiple tons. I mean, it is, I think they're saying 17 tons. No, is what that whole base is. And that's the wrong number. It's not 17. I think it's 12 tons. So it's going to take the structure inside of that they were holding it up was all brick. Yeah. And now it is, all of that you see underneath was all brick. Now all of that's gone. And, but that you see that one piece, the right under Forest, that is bricks that's underneath it. And you have the different sides to it, you know, the sides themselves are several thousand pounds each, and it's I'll go and tell you, the engineer said it weighed 260 pounds a square foot. So wow. You can imagine what all of that is going to end up weighing.
If you saw this at Forest Park in Memphis and you were up close to this, you know the scale of this monument and what an undertaking it is. Jason, the final question I have for you before we move into your program is, what happens next? We've received the donations, and thank you to Dr. Barnes to getting us to where we are. What happens to get it constructed now? Where are we? When is it signed on the dotted line to say, let's do this?
Well, like I said, we have received two bids. We are meeting with one of the bidders on Thursday and try to iron out a few more details. Because when you go to work up a contract to do this, there's certain things you have to go by. Sure. And we're going to have to work through the contract because, as you know, we have to specify a time frame.
Sure.
And because we can't just say, okay, when can you get to it and how long is it going to take? We had a couple of people that come to take a look, and they said, well, it would be next year before they could get started. And we had one of them said, well, we'll come back and we'll rebid, but we're going to have to rebid next year because materials are going to change, cost is going to change, and they wouldn't even give us a bid until February of next year. Yeah. So we do have these two bids, and we are meeting with one of them on Thursday. We're scheduling a meeting with the other. And then we will be having a serious conversation, because we are working with a concrete person, and the concrete person that I've talked to is the same person that did the Jefferson Davis. He has the plans, and he's going to be doing the dirt work for us. And then we had industrial contractors, as you saw earlier, that did the work on putting all the crane work.
Sure.
So we're getting bids from them separately as well. So if we can sit down and get some, well, I'll go ahead and tell you this. All of them have said that they could start on it within a month. Okay. So if we can get, contracts worked out, because as you know, when you sit down and you negotiate a contract like this, because when they say, okay, we'll cover this, this, and this, well, what about this? Well, this is extra. And as you know,
are both of them bidding on the same thing, or you have to compare them both? And there's a lot to that.
Yes. And, are you bidding on the sidewalks coming to it, going from it, the width of them, everything else, and make sure all of the details are covered. It's going to be a long set down to cover it. And
Jason, what about time frame? What are you hearing? If let's say they start within a month, you choose in the next couple of weeks, what do you think a time frame is to get it completed? Up 3, 4 months, 5 months?
4 months.
4 months.
4 months. Both of them have told us, the first person that bid the big amount said it would take 8 months. The next bid we had come in said, and the number was down quite a bit, and they said they could do it in 4 months. So the other ones say we can do it in 3 to 4 months, depending on the weather. The weather cooperates. And as you know, here in Middle Tennessee, October is a very good weather month, and it's generally dry. So if we can be doing this, here we are in August, if we can be doing this in September and October, would be very good. But they're saying 3 to 4 months from when they get started. 3 months, weather cooperates. 4 months, So
it's a possibility in the springtime. We could see a dedication possibly in the springtime of this.
Possibly. It's possible. Yes. And that's also a factor in who we're getting to do the bids, because the ones that have said that, well, we can't get started, it'll be next year or the ending part of this year. They don't want to commit to a bid now, because the way they're saying it's 3 or 4 months down the road, labor goes up, cost of materials go up. We had a conversation today with a gentleman that is in charge of a company, and what he does is he goes and he gets bids, and he said the same thing that we've already faced. The problem that we're having is so much growth here in Middle Tennessee that all of these companies are busy. And that was the first thing he told us was, well, you're going to have a hard time because everybody's busy.
Yeah, that's something I've seen in this area. We've seen on some projects. It's something we face.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Like I said, we had the donation come in. We're moving as quick as we can, folks. I know everybody's saying you're taking forever. Well, we didn't have the money. 21st Century came out. Well, we got the banknote off of us. Okay. Then we got 21st Century come along. We're getting the money. Then all of a sudden we had to go through all of the engineering drawings, get all of that. We got that done.
And remember, we're doing this with the goal of there's no debt to this to have this completed. It'll be paid in full.
Zero debt, no debt. Pay for it as we go, not going in any debt. So we get, so we ended up getting the bids, and the bids are this. Well, we don't now with this gracious donation. They came to us on Monday. We're meeting with a contractor. We got Jeff Davis up because at that time we were obligated to get Jeff Davis up. We got Jeff Davis up. Now we're meeting on Thursday with a person that has submitted a bid, and a good bid. And that means that we're sitting down and we're ironing out details. And when we do that, it'll go to the Forest Last Ride Committee. And I'll tell you the people on the Forest Last Ride Committee.
Sure.
It is Ed Phillips, who we all know was the attorney for the Forest family when all of that happened in Memphis. Plus, he's been judge advocate in chief. We have Lee Miller, who has been involved in all of this that happened in Memphis all the way up to now. And Lee's heavily involved now. He's on this committee. He was there. You saw him in the picture earlier. He's doing a great job. Then we have the two great grandsons of Nathan Bedford Forrest. We have our most recent past commander-in-chief, Mr. Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, and we have our current commander-in-chief, Mr. Tony Griffin. And so all of them have seen all of this. So we're going to go through all of the bids, pick them apart as we have to do at this time, and see which one we like, and then we'll take everything to the GEC. The General Executive Council will be making the decision.
They will vote on the bid. They will select
yes.
the bid.
Yes. It is not me. It is not the Forest Last Ride Committee. Our job is to vet all of it, make sure we have everything right, all of our T's crossed till our I's are dotted, as the man said one time. So we have to make sure that we get all of that in order, and so we can present to the GEC, and we will present all of the bids to the GEC. Okay. And to let the GEC make their decision.
Well, good work, Jason. Appreciate all you're doing and the committee is doing, and we look forward to seeing this project completed. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, and you've got a presentation on Sam Davis coming up next. We'll be back right after this.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday. It's Tuesday evening, August the 4th. I'm John Blankenship, your host, along with our co-host this evening, Jason Boshers. And Jason, we do want to mention before you get into your program, Danny Langston, who is the Lieutenant Brigade Commander for the Memphis Brigade. Danny is having some health issues, and I know Mark shared an update a little while ago. Danny is still having some issues and is in ICU in Memphis. So our thoughts and prayers continue with Danny as he's got a long recovery ahead, and we'll be sure to share with our membership, of course, updates as that comes along. But remember in your prayers this evening, Danny Langston, who is the Lieutenant Brigade Commander for the Memphis Brigade. So I know he would definitely appreciate your prayers this evening. So, Jason, we're going to talk about the boy hero of the Confederacy. If you're from Tennessee, you probably know who Sam Davis is. You've probably seen his monument on the grounds of the Tennessee State Capitol. You've probably been to Pulaski, and you've seen his monument there to him. You've seen a couple of monuments there to Sam Davis, and you may have even been to his home, which is one of our sponsors, but you may not know story of Sam Davis and why he is the boy hero of the Confederacy and why we look up to him and the sacrifice he made during the war between the states. And Jason is going to tell us that story tonight, Jason. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you just let me know how I can help you out along the way.
Yes, sir. And if you have any questions on any of it, please interject, or if somebody in the comments has something we can talk about. I would like to take a step back for just a moment and want to say that I want to thank everybody who has made donations and contributed money, time, effort
Yes.
into everything that we're doing there, from our museum, from the
Yes.
artifacts that are inside of it, to the people who have made donations for the Jeff Davis monument, and of course everything that everybody has done for the Forest Equestrian Plaza. It is being done by our membership. And I wanted to say that because I thought of something while we were on the break.
Mm-hmm.
People ask, well, why don't you get a grant? Why don't you go to so-and-so and get a grant? And we do work with those as best as we can. But remember, some grants come with stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
And we, when the idea of the museum was presented, it was a place for the true and complete story to be told. That's what come into my mind, because that was in that commercial. Mm-hmm. And I wrote that commercial when I was Lieutenant Commander in Chief. And that was in my mind at that time, where the true and complete story can be told. And a lot of times if you get grants, well, as the old saying goes, with the shillings come the shackles.
Sure.
So they're going to, well, you can't say that. You have to say this. No, we're here to tell the truth, the complete story. And, so it's done. It has been done by our members, and our members are to be thanked, every one of them who have contributed their time, their effort, and their monies to make all of this possible. And I want to say that I thank you. Born October the 6th of 1842, outside of Smyrna, Tennessee. When he was about nearly 5 years old, his father bought the home that you see now, which is the Sam Davis home. At that time, it was a sprawling, 400-acre farm, nearly 500 acres, which was a big working farm at that time. And Sam was brought up there. Now, I'm sure he might remember his old home. His father, Charles, had been married before. His first wife passed. Mm-hmm. And that is a picture of Sam and right before the war started. Now, you got to think, if you were born in 1842, you're 17, 18 years old when the drums of war are starting to be sound in 1860. So and there has been some arguments about that picture. Is that picture is that picture Sam or not? And some people say it is, some people say it isn't. Most people believe that it is, because Sam was considered a young man at the time. He was brought up on that farm, and think of how it was when you were 18 years old and you had been sitting at the feet of your ancestors, your father, your grandfather, your uncles, all of these men who had fought in the Revolutionary War, or you had heard the stories of your ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Alamo and the Texas independence, and you had the Mexican War, and you had been hearing all of these stories throughout your life. There wasn't TV, there wasn't cell phones occupying you. People sat around and people talked, and you heard they heard these stories. And Sam, as a young man growing up, heard all of these stories, if not from his family, from all of the men in the community, because Sam worked out in the community. He worked on the different farms. So think of how it was in 1860. And Sam is in school. He's in a military school in Nashville. And 1860 comes along. The drums of war are being sounded. Sam joins the Rutherford Rifles. That is a unit that was raised in Rutherford County, mostly Smyrna and Murfreesboro. Mm-hmm. They ended up becoming the 1st Tennessee. 1st Tennessee Infantry. So he was wrote into that. And he, the war was never going to be fought in the West. Think of when the war started. It was all going to be fought in the East. That's why everybody was in a hurry to get to Virginia or anything like that if they wanted to be part of this war, because it was never coming over the Blue Mountains. It was never coming into Tennessee. It was never going west. So Sam actually served and fought under Robert E. Lee. And then, as you know, it rode into 1862. You had the Federals that were coming into Tennessee, and Sam comes back. 1st Tennessee comes back, and he fights down in Shiloh. And then some people said he had a small flesh wound on that he got nicked in the left arm during that, and must not have been very much to it at that time, because he stayed with the Army, and he ended up going into Kentucky, where he was wounded in the heel and ankle there, and that wound changed his life, because Sam's half brother, like I said, Sam's father Charles had been married before. First wife passed. He remarried Jane Simmons. He married James Simmons Davis, and their first child was Sam. And so Sam was, of course, her favorite, but that means that Sam had half brothers that were older than him.
Sure.
And one of them was John. And John was a member of the Coleman Scouts. The Coleman Scouts was run by E. Coleman. That was the moniker that he carried during the war. And John knew Sam, knew his character, knew he was a good horseman. And as you know, if you were a scout, you were the eyes and the ears of an army on the move. And that's what he was. And he knew that Sam had the mentality and the skills to be able to handle that. And after he convalesced, he joined the Coleman Scouts. When we know that he made a couple of small scout runs at that time. And as things progressed, and now you're getting into the middle to latter part of 1863, Sam, the scout line from that time is running from Decatur, Alabama, all the way through Tennessee into eastern Kentucky. And they were running messages back and forth. You know what a scout is. He's a courier, okay? And he's running this, and you get into November. And as you know, the Middle Tennessee was under federal occupation at the time. And they had some paperwork that needed to be moved. E. Coleman contacted Billy Moore. Now, I'm going to mention Billy Moore because Elm Springs sits on Mooresville Pike. Just right down from Elm Springs was the home that Billy Moore was raised in. And Billy Moore was a member of Coleman Scouts. And E. Coleman met him just south of Columbia, met Billy Moore, and said, he had some stuff that needed to be moved to Braxton Bragg. And he looked at Billy Moore's horse, and he said, your horse is wore out. Go to Columbia and get you a fresh ride, or rest your horse at home. And there was no good horse flesh left in Columbia at that time because, well, we were under federal occupation.
Sure.
So he was resting his horse. And in the meantime, he contacted and come across Sam, and they met in Campbellsville, Tennessee. And he ended up giving Sam a big wad of papers. And Sam tucked them in his saddlebag, and he put them under his saddle. And he lights off. Now, I tell you that to tell you what happened before then. This is how he got in touch with Sam. Sam was bringing him papers out of Kentucky, and he was bringing them down. He had stopped in Nolensville. He had picked up some newspapers. When he left Nolensville, he was going to be near his home. He went to his home, arrived there during the night, which was under federal occupation. You're looking at the night of the 18th, November 18th of 1863. He arrives there during the night, early morning hours, ties his horse, and that's what that's a good picture of the Sam Davis home before all of the before it turned into an arbitorium or however you pronounce that word. But he tied his horse up onto the left where you see the house. If you look to the left, there's a big rock that's sitting there with a large oak tree, and Sam tied his horse up to that rock, and he come up to the parents' bedroom, which is on the left side of the house, and he tapped onto the window. And that'll give you another idea of what the home would have looked like in the early 1900s. That's probably, I think that's late 1800s is when they dated it with that one, I believe. Yes, it's late 1800s. And he tied his horse, went up, tapped on his parents' bedroom window. They let him in. His mother fed him. His father fixed his boot. His younger brother, Oscar, some Federals had been fighting around there, and he ended up finding a Union overcoat. And it was a blue Union overcoat. He brought it home because it was wintertime. Okay. You're talking November of 63. And he brought it home, and Sam's mother dyed it brown with walnut hulls. And we know that's the case because the overcoat is in the collection of the Tennessee State Museum. It was preserved by the Tennessee Division Sons of Confederate Veterans. Sam Davis's boot and his overcoat. And we'll get to the boot in a little bit in the story. This overcoat, a forensic analysis was done of it. It was a blue Union overcoat that had been dyed brown with walnut hulls. That's important to the story.
Yep.
He goes and speaks to his siblings, kisses them goodnight, and rides off into the night. That is when the next day he meets E. Coleman, Henry B. Shaw. He meets him. Yes, that's the overcoat. And he meets him, and he gives him the paperwork, and he starts heading toward Decatur, Alabama, and he goes south of Pulaski. Now, remember, they traveled some during the day, but they do a lot of their traveling late evening, during the night, and into the early morning. During the middle of the day, they're not out much, especially because they knew federal patrols were out everywhere. And they had already put out notice because they knew Coleman scouts, E. Coleman and his scouts were already doing a very good job of running and getting information to the different armies, and they knew of them. And so he stops during the early morning hours in Minor Hill, and he is resting under a plum tree. And two men rode up dressed in Confederate uniforms. That's important to the story as well. They talk to Sam. They convince him that he needs to join the Confederate Army and that he needs to come with them into Pulaski. And he starts down the road a little bit with them, gets the sense that something is wrong. And according to what the Confederates that I was talking about, the two men rode up wearing Confederate uniforms, according to what they said in the court case, he spurred his horse to take off. One of them grabbed the reins on one side. The other one grabbed Sam's arm as he was trying to pull his pistol. And Sam had just got captured by the 7th Kansas Cavalry, the Jayhawkers. They were Federal soldiers dressed in Confederate uniform. They even said that during the trial, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So they take him on into Pulaski. They're towing him through town. Hey, we got a spy, boys. We got a spy. We're fixing to have a hanging. We got ourselves a spy. And this was on the evening and the afternoon and early evening of November 20th. And they take Sam and they put him in jail. They search him. They cut his boot open. They found a letter in his boot from E. Coleman to Braxton Bragg. That was a death knell for Sam.
Yeah.
And the paperwork that they found in his saddlebag, and remember, this was a bundle. Sam didn't know. He was just handed stuff. He was just a courier. He didn't know what was in there, but in this bundle of papers that he had in his saddlebag and under his saddle was paperwork that had come from Federal General Granville Dodge's desk. It could have only come from his desk. Granville Dodge, when he saw that, knew he had a serious problem, knew he had a leak, that papers that he was handling was making it into Confederate hands. So they bring him in front of Granville Dodge and they start interrogating him. Sam does not say anything. In fact, after the war, they do a talk with Granville Dodge, and Granville Dodge even donated money to Sam's monument there in Nashville because he said that Sam was a very brave man. He was very stoic. He didn't say anything, and they were interrogating him. And they take him and they put him in the jail. Okay, this is the Giles County Courthouse. The jail is still there. So they take, and that is from November 27th. That is the day of the hanging, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But that is the Giles County Courthouse on the day that they were going to hang Sam. And what they did was they put him in the jail, and come to find out, other members of the Coleman Scouts were already in jail. One of them was Henry B. Shaw, Mr. E. Coleman himself. He was acting kind of half crazy and acted like a snake oil salesman and all of this stuff. He didn't act like anybody who did this. When they captured him, when they saw him, they didn't know who it was. He had all of this fake paperwork on him, and they thought he was just a Confederate sympathizer, half crazy snake oil salesman, and they put him in the jail. Also, Billy Moore had been captured. And the time that he had been resting his horse, he got his horse rested for 3 days. He had met up and had gotten some more paperwork, and he got captured. Not too far behind Sam, about a day behind Sam, around the Williamsport, Tennessee area. And he and they thought he was sick because what he had done was when he had got captured, he was riding up to what was supposed to be a friendly home, and they would leave a candle burning in the window. And he saw the candle and he rode up to it. When he stepped on the front porch, the door opened and there were Federal soldiers there. And they thought he was just a Confederate sympathizer. They searched him. They didn't find anything. Looked through his horse, didn't find anything much. But what he had done, he had hid the papers on his side and on his body. And he was telling everybody he was sick. He was acting sick. Well, what he had done, he started eating the paperwork. And he told him he was sick and he was cold. And they put him by the fireplace. And what papers he couldn't eat, he was burning when they weren't around, and he ended up throwing up and everything else. And they just thought he was sick. So they arrested him, and he was in the jail cell as well. There were 3 members of the Coleman Scouts that were in the jail when they brought Sam in. And the Federals did not know any of them were Scouts or members of the Coleman Scouts. And the Federals took another person that, another Federal soldier, dressed him up as a Confederate, pretended that he was captured, and was put down in the jail cell with them because he was there as a spy to listen what they were saying and they were doing.
Yeah, hopefully
they would talk. And during the trial, he said, during one of the interrogations right before the trial, he said, these men don't even know each other. So you had 4 members of the Coleman Scouts who had all rode together, who were acting like complete and total strangers. The only person that they had anything on was Sam Davis, and he had very bad paperwork on him that, but they kept interrogating it. They were even going down and interrogating him in the jail cell in front of everybody. Imagine being Henry B. Shaw or Billy Moore or Mr. Brown, and you're sitting there and all he's got to do is turn and point, because they were asking, who's E. Coleman? You got this paper, E. Coleman. Where is E. Coleman? Who is E. Coleman? And then they started making, I'm just going to say it, offers that a lot of people would take. And one of them would be, Sam, tell us everything we know. We know you know it. Just tell us. And we'll give you paperwork and you can leave. If not, we're going to try you as a spy. We will find you guilty and we will hang you. He didn't say anything. In fact, the spy that was put down there said that most of the time Sam sat on the floor in the dark with his head in his hands, not speaking or saying anything to anybody. He was interrogated like this every day, brought up, sent back down. Now we're taking, like I said, he was captured on then. So now let's move forward to the day of the trial, November 25th and 26th. Well, they brought in the Federals dressed as Confederates, and they were trying Sam as a spy, because remember, one of the things about being a spy is wearing the uniform of your enemy.
Yeah.
These Federal soldiers admitted in the trial that they were dressed as Confederates when they captured him. So they were spies, Okay. And they said they were able to try Sam as that because he had a Union overcoat on. Didn't matter that it had been dyed. It's a Federal overcoat. That's it. So we're going to try you as a spy. Plus you have this paperwork and all of that. And he's going, I'm not a spy. I'm a courier. And Sam was a courier. Here's your paperwork. Take it to here. And that was what he was doing. And he was adamant and defensive about not being a spy. He admitted to being a courier, but he was not a spy. And during the trial, all of this come out. Even the spy that was a Federal soldier that had put in a Confederate uniform and put him down there. So all of these things that they were trying Sam for, they were guilty of.
Yeah.
So they made him a deal. Sam, tell us what we know and you're free to go. If not, we're trying you and you're hanging you. We're going to find you guilty. Well, surprise, surprise, they found him guilty. And they didn't even tell him. They sent a private who was his guard, a private C.B. Van Pelt. C.B. Van Pelt had to tell Sam, and he was the same age as Sam, 21. And at this point in time, Sam is now 21 years old. He was about the same age as Sam. And he's saying, Sam, we know you know. Tell them what they want to know. We don't want to hang you. We don't want to hang you. You don't want to go through this. You don't. And Sam, no, he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then they sent Chaplain Young. Chaplain Young, he was at 81st Ohio as well. He come in and he prayed with Sam, tried to talk Sam out of it, and then prayed with Sam. And Sam asked if they could sing on Jordan's Stormy Banks, which was his mother's favorite hymn. And they sung on Jordan's Stormy Banks. And it was said that when they started, they were the first, I'm going to say, phrase into it, that everybody else in the jail was singing along with them.
Yeah.
He got a piece of paper from Chaplain Young and he wrote a letter. He cut some buttons off of his coat, off of his vest, and he gave those to Chaplain Young as well. And I gave him the letter, make sure that you get the letter. And the next night, Sam spent that night alone. Everybody, can you imagine E. Coleman and all them knowing he's going to hang tomorrow,
Yeah.
when all he had to do, because they said, tell us and you can go. About 9 o'clock in the morning, and this is November 27th of 1863, Friday, November 27th of 1863. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the federal drums started being played, and it was the death march. They come up to the Giles County Courthouse of the picture that you saw earlier. They load Sam on the wagon, and he sits on his coffin. They had shackled his hands and his feet. They started the ride up, which is a quarter mile east of town, to the next hillside where the gallows had already been set up. That is the museum there. The gallows were just to the right of that. There is a stone that is in the ground that shows exactly where Sam was dropped. So they ride there. Chaplain Young is riding with him. Before he rides off, Sam turns and looks at the jail, and those men of Coleman scouts are looking out the window at him. And remember, all Sam had to do was go, there's E. Coleman, there's Billy Young, and point these men out, and he didn't. Can you imagine them sitting in that jail for 6 nights? Sam's fate, their fate was in Sam's hand. And, how could they feel about him? To know that what he was going to, because he had already said, I'm not afraid to die. He had already said, they said, well, we're going to hang you. I'm not afraid to die. And they take him east of town. Now he's riding with Chaplain Young, and Chaplain Young asked him how he's doing. And he said, well, my boot's hurting. And where they had cut his boot open, when they shackled it up, they just tightened it up as much as they could. And it was hurting where they had cut it open. And Chaplain Young took a knife and opened it up to make him a little more comfortable. The Federals had formed a hollow square on top of the hill around the gallows that opens up. The wagon comes in with Sam on it. Sam gets off. They take his coffin off and they set it on the ground. And Sam sits on it, and he starts doing something that is very Southern, which means he's starting to talk to the guards that are around him, which is one of them is C.B. Van Pelt, where they're just, well, how's the war going? Well, and then they tell him, and he goes, well, I guess the boys are going to have to fight the rest of the war without me. And he had resolved himself to what was going to happen. Yeah. Captain Chickasaw. And Captain Chickasaw was one of the men that interrogated Sam the hardest and the most. He rode up on Sam's horse with Sam's guns over the pommel, and he hands him the paper, or reaches out with the paper, and says, tell us what we need to know. You can leave right now on your horse. This is your paperwork to make it to our enemy lines and go back home. You can go home. And at this point in time, we know he said it this time because multiple people heard him say, I had rather die 1,000 deaths than betray my friends. Multiple people heard him say that there.
Yeah.
It was also said that during the interrogations that he said that as well, that I'm not a spy, I am a courier, I will not betray my country and my cause. But we know he said at that point in time, I will not betray my friends. He looks at Chaplain Young and he goes, I'm ready. So they take Sam up the steps on the gallows. They change his shackles from in front to behind his back. They put a white sack over his head. They put a noose around his neck. And about 10:20 on Friday, November 27th of 1863, they dropped the gallows. The fall does not break Sam's neck. The life is choked out of him. It takes him 15 minutes to die. Men are watching this and turning around, walking away. He's in death's agony, twisting and turning. They come up after he's dead and cut the rope, put him in the pine coffin, and they take him to Maplewood Cemetery, where he was interred with the other Confederates. On a morning paper dated December the 4th of 1863, Sam's parents read, "The Federals have captured and hung a Confederate spy by the name of Sam Davis." That's how his family found out. They get John Kennedy, who is a caretaker on the farm. He's 27 years old. And they get Oscar, which is Sam's younger brother, who's 17 at that time. And they load a wagon up and they send John Kennedy to Pulaski to try and retrieve Sam's body. Well, they have to go to Nashville to get paperwork and buy a coffin. And they get paperwork. They start heading south. They come through Columbia. They're stopped there. They have to get more papers because those papers only extended so far south, and they had to get another set of papers to continue on. They get those, and they arrive down in Pulaski late in the afternoon, and they go up to the provost marshal. And the provost marshal did not want to see them. He was, "What are you doing? Why are you here bothering me? Who are you?" And all of this. And John Kennedy comes up and tells him, he shows him the papers. "I'm here, and I'm here to retrieve the body of Sam Davis." And the provost marshal, John Kennedy, writes this. The provost marshal, he says his expression completely changes. Every Federal in the room, his expression changes. Their demeanor changes. He gets up and he walks around the desk and he shakes John Kennedy's hand and he tells him, "Please tell his parents he died like a hero." He was a real man. So, "I'd like to retrieve the body in the morning." That's what John Kennedy said. "Am I going to have any issues?" Provost Marshal said, "No. If I have to give you a whole company of men, you will not have any trouble." Next morning, they start to disinter. John Kennedy writes that men start gathering around. Federal soldiers are going around hat in hand, asking, "Can we help you?" They said, "No, this is our task. This is the job we've been assigned to do." And they dig him up, get the coffin up. They open the coffin. First thing they check is the lining of the jacket, of the vest. He had a vest on. And his mother had also made him a vest, and she had this calico lining that was in it, and matched this, in case you can't tell, match this to the vest. And they did, and they matched it, and it was a perfect match. And then they took the veil off, the white sack that was over him. And Oscar said, "Oh my God, Sam." He was black, but you could still see all of the features. And they knew immediately that it was Sam. They put Sam in the coffin, and they started back. Now it's 100 miles in a wagon from Pulaski to Smyrna on using the roads that they had then. It was, of course, new roads had been cut different places. Roads they had then were 100 miles. So they started back, and they get to Columbia, and the Duck River had flooded. And they had stopped the ferries running across. And John Kennedy stops the wagon. He goes down, talks to the guard, and the guard just turns around and snaps at him. "What are you bothering me? No, that's flooded. You're not coming across." And John Kennedy says he looks back and he sees the wagon with the coffin on it. And he looks at him and he goes, "Don't worry, we'll bring it across." They brought the ferry back. And at this time, John said that he had walked back to the wagon. And said it was completely surrounded by Federal soldiers. And he knew he was going to be, remember, he's traveling in enemy lines with Sam's body and 17-year-old Oscar, his brother. And he walks back and he gets the reins and he's going to start forward. And one of the men stopped him. He said, "No, sir. We know who you are. We know what you're doing. You just get on the wagon and ride. We'll get you down." And John says they help guide the wagon down. They take the ferry across, and it's as steep going up as it was going down. And he said every man put a shoulder to the wheel and pushed it up all the way up the slope with the horses. And he said he turned around, and every man was standing there with his hat in his hand. And he said he heard one of the men say, "God would hate us for what we did."
Wow.
And they come on back, but they didn't go straight to Smyrna. They didn't go to Sam's home. After that long of a ride and everywhere that they had been through, John Kennedy decided that it was better to take Sam into Nashville and have him prepared. Because at this point in time, Sam had been dead 3 weeks.
Sure.
And no, there's no embalming, and what happens with that. We're not going to get into it, but we can imagine what that would be like. And they prepare the body, and they put it back in the coffin, and then they go to Smyrna. They go to Sam's home. And we've all watched all these old Westerns, and you hear the old wagon wheels as they're riding on these old dirt roads. And on the ride up, Sam's mama hears the wagon, walks out, looks down from the girl's bedroom, and sees John Kennedy and Oscar in the coffin, and she collapses. They bring Sam inside, and he is laid in rest in state when you go into the home, it's the room on the right. It's in the parlor. And he lays in state there for a week. The stench was so bad that they had to throw away all the drapes, curtains, carpets, any kind of fabric. But there was a letter. Remember the letter that I had mentioned that Sam wrote? Well, Chaplain Young had been good to his word. He had given all of that to John. And John gives it to Charles Davis, the father. And he reads it, and then he hands it to the wife. And imagine reading this in your own child's handwriting. I know so many parents out there know their child's handwriting.
Yeah.
And they look at it in their handwriting, and you read, "Dear mother and father, I regret to tell you that I have to be hung tomorrow by the Federals. Do not grieve for me. It will not do any good. I do not regret to die." And then he passes a little bit farther down, and he says, "Tell the kids to be good and tell them that I will miss them." Then in the PS, he goes, "Mother, father, do not forget me." Pulaski is in Giles County. He tells them everything that he has left in this letter for them. And Sam's mama did not forget. Sam's father did not forget. Sam laid in state there to December 26th. They carried him across Stewart's Creek, and he was buried in the cemetery over there. After the war, Sam's mama couldn't take it anymore. She the South was starting to recoup some by the time that you went through, and it's now 1868, 1870, 1872, and they were able to disinter Sam, and they bury him in the garden. And that's it. That is a picture of Sam's obelisk in the back of the house from 1940. And when they were able to raise the funds, they put that obelisk there to Sam. So Sam's mother did not forget him. She was able to stand on her porch and look out and say, "That's a picture that I took of Sam's grave a few years ago." I have had the honor and privilege of cleaning that obelisk twice. The tree that you see to the left, that tree, well, there's me doing one of my talks there. I have been blessed to be asked numerous times on the memorial, Sam Davis Memorial, which is as close to November 27th as they can get there and tell the story that I just told, that I'm telling you. The story of Sam does not end there. As we know, so much during Reconstruction on all of that had faded away.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Sumner A. Cunningham brought out the Confederate veteran, and all of this started back, and monuments were being put up, and the story of Sam Davis came back. And that was when the monument was put up to him there on the grounds of the Capitol in Nashville. And a monument was put up to him at his capture site in Minor Hill, Tennessee. And of course, on the courthouse square in Pulaski is a monument to Sam Davis. So Sam's story did not end there. Sam's story is still alive and well. You can go to the Sam Davis home and you can hear the stories. You can see the story, the letter that I told you about, they have there. And they tell the whole story of everything that the property has gone through. And the property, the tragedy that has happened at the Sam Davis home did not end there. Several years back, Blue Angels pilot Jeff Coos, flying there, flying around and getting ready for an air show. He had a major catastrophe that happened. He was a very brave man. He rode that plane. He kept it from going toward the school. He kept it from hitting the Sam Davis home. He rode it so far to the ground that by the time he ejected, it did no good, and he still was killed. But the plane crashed there in the backfield behind the Sam Davis home. Shook the house violently, as you can imagine. But he rode it completely out of danger, and it didn't cause any harm other than Captain Jeff Coos lost his life. So that is one of those places that has experienced love with all of the family that has been there, and it has experienced tragedy. And if you get a chance, go and visit the Sam Davis home and learn the story of Sam, because it is still there because of Sam.
Absolutely. Wow, what a wonderful story to hear you tell. And it's such a sad story, but how he has truly, Jason, become somebody that we know, especially in Tennessee. You're a historian as well. You read through these articles, especially in the early 1900s when his story was really revived, as you said.
Yes.
How SCV camps, UCV camps all across the state. Humboldt had one named for Sam Davis. Here, how important his story was. And this was sent to me just a moment ago in a message. We talk about some of the story. This image came out several years ago, Jason, in a book, I think it was back in the early 80s, that's labeled Samuel Davis. Have we ever determined for sure whether we believe that's him or not?
That's one of those pictures that keeps being up in discussion. Some have said it is, some have said it's not. The picture that you showed earlier showed in the uniform that was not. Some will say that's Sam. Well, if you look at that face and you look at the other face, they're different.
Yeah, they are different.
You know, they argue which one is Sam.
In this image, in this daguerreotype, is it his half brother that's pictured with him?
Yes, that is supposed to be Sam and John. Supposed to be Sam and John. That was at the very beginning, at the very start of the war. They said that was actually when Sam was in military school. And that was when he was taken when he was 15 or 16.
Wow.
Was what some people are saying. No, the war hadn't started. That was him in military school. And then somebody said, no, it's close to this. People are going to argue that kind of stuff. But some people say that the picture with the great big hair, and that's what somebody was calling it, that big poof hair. Somebody says it is him, and other people say, no, it's not. That is one of those things that the family has pictures of Sam, and the family, the Davis family, the descendants, they still come there and they still visit, and they have family reunions, and they have pictures of Sam. The first
Yeah, a lot
picture.
of these images they share on the Facebook page for the Sam Davis Home and Museum that the family
Yes.
has contributed and loaned.
Yes.
Great photograph collection, great
Yes.
story. And again, Jason, as you said, if you've never been to the home, you need to make you a trip to Smyrna and listen to that story. I think every time I've toured the home, it's either been really, really cold or really, really hot, which is both situations make it a different time each time, especially
Yes.
when you think about those cold days. And of course, you don't have the electricity in the house, the regular lights like we're used to. You're seeing it in that candlelight type setting at night and at dusk. It really, really makes that story.
Yes. And you think about what that family went through, and I can't imagine. I think about how would my mother have reacted reading my brother's handwriting,
Oh, yeah.
how that would have been. No, you think about Oscar, and well, you think about John Kennedy, okay, having to go federal occupation
Yeah,
to
just to get
retrieve.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then you think about Oscar, because John Kennedy writes about it was a metal coffin. And of course, it's rattling on those roads, and the lid would come up and the smell and make Oscar
It's
was getting
hard to
sick.
imagine.
Yes. And everything that they went through on that, they just.
And how they learned about his death, the family, in a newspaper. Can you imagine? We see these social media of today. You learn about that tragedy of somebody dying that you hadn't been notified, and that's how they find out. It's hard to imagine. Different world.
Yeah. Imagine reading your own son's name in the paper. I can't imagine what. And I think about my mama, what would she have gone through? And, you know, reading that. And do you ever get over it? And they even write that when the veterans started getting together, she would go and visit with them, and she would talk to them.
Yeah.
And she would want to hear the stories of Sam. And they say that there was, before Henry B. Shaw got killed in the Bowler explosion on the Mississippi River, they said that before he got killed, that he sat down with Sam's mother at one reunion. Can you imagine what that conversation was?
Yeah.
Because he saved their lives. And there's been a lot of conjecture about, well, why didn't Sam do it? Well, Sam wasn't the kind of man that would do it. All of them accepted the role that they took and knew that their life was in peril all of the time. And they knew what they had accepted to do. But we all know people that when presented with that, I'll let you go free. The question is, did Sam believe them? Or was Sam thinking, if I give them up, they're just going to kill all of them?
They're still going to kill me anyway.
Yes. They're going to kill me. Now they're going to kill them.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's amazing they sat quiet in this cell together, and there's no conversation, and they're not talking about these things. Like you said, they knew their role, and it's a different world than we live in today. We'd be sitting in there talking about it, but they knew the risk and the danger.
Yeah, they knew, and they knew that they were supposed to be total strangers, and they were. And it was just one of the most selfless acts that a human being has done. I mean, it's just, that was selfless. You know, I'm sacrificing myself. And you got to think, Coleman Scouts wrote again because of Sam.
And again, Jason, we tell his story, the story of Sam Davis, but that's one of many in the South that experienced many of the same type things.
Yes.
But his story reminds me of many others, and I'm sure those watching tonight think of those two that sacrificed so much and gave their life for that cause that we sometimes don't totally understand the things they went through.
No, they
but
did.
We're glad to be able to honor them. That's what the SCV does. That's the SCV at its best.
That's why we do what we do.
That's
is
why
to
we
remember and honor them. This isn't about me. You know, this isn't about you, John.
Yeah.
This is about us remembering and honoring them, and everything that we can do to honor one of them. We honor all of them. Whether you're telling the story of Sam Davis or cleaning a tombstone or doing anything, when you honor one, you honor all. And that is why we do what we do. And that's what I tell myself. Okay. let's just say that I am blessed enough that when I leave this earth, that I go to heaven and I meet my Confederate ancestor. Well, you're going to know each other in a moment.
Yeah.
I want him to be as proud of me as I am of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, great job tonight. Thank you for telling that story of Sam and keeping his memory alive. And as we get ready to wrap up tonight, we've gone an hour and 45 minutes. I think we've had a good show. This may be our longest record yet. So again, it's a worthy story to tell, and I think folks enjoyed that tonight. Thank you for bringing that story out tonight.
And I'm honored to be able to tell the story. But we've also given people a lot of information. We got the Jeff Davis statue up.
Absolutely.
You got some details on what's going on with the Equestrian Plaza. And we heard the story of Sam. My apologies for taking that long to tell the story. But
it was a good job tonight. And as we get ready to wrap up, remember, if you have an event, something going on you would like to tell us about, if you're interested in being a guest, maybe you have a presentation like you heard Jason give tonight, you would like to do that for the audience, you can email us Tennessee Tuesday podcast at gmail.com or reach out to me or Jason, and we'd be glad to have you on the show and get you scheduled. And as we wrap up tonight, Jason, let's quickly, do you want to go through the programs that we've got coming up after us? I know, of course, we're every Tuesday night, and then kicking off on Wednesday, the Florida Man will be on.
Yes, on Wednesday night, Look Around Florida with the Florida Man, Sean McFall. And it starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. Okay. And then on Thursday night, now the first Thursday night of each month, and I know we're about to have the first Thursday night. And I haven't heard, but I'm hoping Commander's Comments is going to continue. We have a new Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin. I haven't heard if he's going to continue those, or it might be a month or so before he gets going, because I know he's got a whole lot of work that he has to do.
I know they shared on the SCV chat page, and let me pull that up, Jason. You said that. I should already had that ready. Here's what their plans are for the new chat lineup. They said that will be happening. Of course, this is on Mondays. This is what they're saying on now for the new chat lineup. First Monday is Chaplain's Corner that you heard last night. The second Monday is Commander's Comments.
Second Monday. Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like they're moving that to the second Monday. And then the third Monday is SCV Chat, just the regular show. And then on the fourth Monday will be Hearth and Home, which is with Executive Director Adam Southern. So that's the plans. Looks like they have 4 Mondays on SCV Chat.
Well, thank you for telling us that. I had not read that, and I thank you for it. But I did see the Chaplain's Corner last night, and I thought they did a very good job. I didn't get to watch all of it. I only got to see some of it. But Thursday night, you're going to have a Look Around Confederation. I think sounds like from now on, that's, they're going to be doing that. Okay. Friday nights, we have a fellow that is joining us here. His name is David Pope.
Yeah.
And he does the Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman, and that starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. David, if you want to put on there what you're going to be talking about on Friday night, we'll be happy to pop that up. And on Sunday night, the one and only Michael C. Hardy with Hardy on History, that starts at 7:30 Central Time. And then, then you just heard Commander Blankenship referred to Monday nights, how SCV Chat's going to be laying theirs out, and I'm happy to know they have that. Yes. And
I want to mention this. You mentioned Michael C. Hardy, and this was sent in to me. This is going to be at the General Longstreet Museum coming up on August the 22nd at 3 o'clock. Michael Hardy will be joining them there for an afternoon on history. So if you've ever seen any of his presentations, either during his show or in person, you'll thoroughly enjoy that. And that's at the General Longstreet Museum just outside of Morristown in Russellville, Tennessee on August the 22nd. So that'll be a good time with Michael Hardy.
That's good. That's good. And Michael he has a great show. He really does.
Mm-hmm. I see David said this is an off week. So it looks like David is going to be off this Friday.
Okay.
All right. So there's the lineup, guys. We thank you for watching. And Jason, you got some final words as we get ready to wrap up.
Well, I just want to ask everybody, pay your dues. Okay. Dues are ending up, as we know, they're already due. They were due July 31st. August 1st. Okay. But we know that National gives a 1 month grace period. So you have until August 31st to get your dues in. Please send your dues in. Okay.
Yes,
I know everybody likes to wait to the last minute. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, as a camp adjutant, I've only had about half submit. And as a division adjutant, I have not had that many camps and stuff in. I mean, we have 62 camps, and I think I've had 9 camps and dues in. So, and make sure you get your national dues paid, because if after August 31st, it's a $5 late fee. So, you've heard us talk about everything that we're doing at HQ. Your membership dollars help go to all
makes that happen.
Yes. So please send your dues in as quick as you can. And everybody, please remember to do your 990. Our fiscal year has ended. Sometime between now and December 15th, you have to do a 990. And people say, well, you don't have to unless you've earned so much. No.
Still got to do one.
If you're a 501c3, you have to file a 990. So think about that and get your dues.
It's really simple to do, guys. It's not complicated. You do it online. It takes just a few minutes to do it.
Yes. Yes.
If you're under $50,000, it's really easy to do.
Yes. And, go ahead and do it and get it over with, so it's not hanging over your head,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Jason, it's been a good program tonight. I've enjoyed it. We've gone. This is a record, as past Commander-in-Chief Tom Strang will say. We've set a record tonight. We're at almost 2 hours. Folks have hung on with us, and we thank you for watching each week. We'll be back next week with a new show, and we'll look forward to you being with us. Again, share these out and share this program tonight, especially with the story of Sam Davis. I believe folks will enjoy going through and listening to Jason tell that story tonight. Again, y'all have yourself a wonderful week, and we'll be back with you next week again, the same time here on Tennessee Tuesday. Just follow us online as well at TennesseeTuesday.com. Have yourself a great week, everybody.